Good evening. This is Harold Watson, Zoning Chair of the Startford Zoning Commission that now sits for its regular public hearing and administrative meeting for 2024 on Wednesday, June 22nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. The quorum for this meeting is 4. I will now call the following elected commissioners. Zone 1 Commissioner Linda Manos. Here. Zone 2 Commissioner Ewald Joseph. Zone 3 Commissioner myself, Harold Watson, here. Zone 4 Commissioner Deborah Lamberti.
Here.
Zone 5 Commissioner Len Patricelli.
Here.
We have no alternates today. We also welcome Jay Habansky, our Planning and Zoning Administrator. Of course, our heroine, Gail DeCilio, our Recording Secretary. Patricia Sullivan, our Zoning Legal Counsel. The public may only speak at the invitation of the Chair during both administrative and public hearings. With that said, I call to order this monthly session of the Startford Zoning Commission at 6 p.m. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. We will now move to our public hearing portion. We should announce that should any items on tonight's agenda take more time than anticipated, this public hearing may conclude at 10 p.m. and be continued to another date, which will be established at that time. Any items not heard by 10 p.m. tonight will be heard at the continued public hearing. For the record, petitions to be heard this evening were advertised in the Connecticut Post on May 8th and May 15th, 2024. Ms. Manos, will you read the first petition?
Yes. 64 Dodge Avenue, petition Finn Motor Company, LLC, seeking an approval of motor vehicle location to establish a general repairs license in an MA zone.
Is the petitioner representative present? Please step forward and give your name and address and submit your certificates of mailing to the secretary.
Good evening, ladies, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, Attorney Sullivan. My name is Barry Knott. I'm a lawyer with the firm of Knott & Dunn with offices at 1656 Main Street, Stratford. I'm here this evening on behalf of Finn Motor Company, LLC. In furtherance of my promise of earlier this evening not to make a presentation, I'm going to introduce my clients so that you can get out of the public hearing quickly rather than if I had made an exhaustive presentation. This is, to the left is Brian Brecciaroli, Jamie Brecciaroli, and Chris Armbruster. Come on up, guys. They are Finn Motor Company. It's an approval of general repairs license, 64 Dodge Avenue. The gentleman in the blue shirt is the landlord also.
Hello. I'd like to thank you all for coming here tonight, taking the time to do this for us. My name is Jamie, as Barry said, and this is Chris. I know when we all think of automotive repair shops, we think of junk cars and tires and things of that nature. I just want you all to know that this business would not be that. We intend to open a very high-end automotive business. We work on European cars and exotic cars as well. So there would not be the things that you would typically see in a normal garage, for sure. That much I can promise. I also realize that most of us have had probably bad experiences with mechanics at one point or another, so this might be a little bit more of a tough sell, myself included. So that's actually why I started working on cars, because I had a bad experience with a mechanic. Essentially, we didn't just choose Stratford for no reason. Chris's family has lived in Stratford for quite a long time. His parents live here, he lives here, he has children that are here. So that was one of the reasons that we chose Stratford initially, just because he has roots in this area and has grown up in this area as well. So on another note, we do intend to fully comply with any of the regulations or requirements or enforcements that this zoning board would put forth to us, and we understand that there are certain processes that have to take place for these applications to happen and these things to work properly. But essentially, we're willing to do whatever's necessary and whatever it takes to aid and assist in the board's approval of this zoning process. That's it.
I come from a background, all my family has owned different kinds of garages. My nephew owns a high-performance facility in Wilmington.
Okay.
That is, you can eat off the floor.
Yeah, that's.
It's one of those kind of places.
Yeah.
So
It has
it
to
is
be that
doable,
way.
and it is the future.
Sure.
So I appreciate that one thing you're doing is you're giving us the 20% green, non-impervious pavements, areas
Absolutely.
around.
And we actually want the exterior of the building to look just as nice as the interior. I mean, my wife loves gardening, she loves planting, so I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of stuff out there.
We're looking for butterfly gardens everywhere, so
Yep.
tell her to plan.
Yeah.
It's a doable thing.
Yeah.
Any questions from anybody?
No? Good.
Yes.
Is it the first time you go into that business?
The first time that I'm opening a repair shop myself. I've worked in the automotive industry for 34 years, so I've been doing it. So I started working in the garage when I was 15 years old, and then I had children young, so I wanted to go to school for engineering, but I had to get a career so that I could pay for my children. So I went to automotive field, and that's where it came to now. So
What's your, who are you certified with?
for automotive repair?
Yeah.
Just general, I've just done it my whole life. So I do work on some, very high-end cars. The last shop that I worked at, we had a McLaren race car, and just to build the engine alone was almost $100,000. So you have to be clean, you have to be neat, you have to be organized. So I've just done it through experience. I did go to Technical Careers Institute for Automotive. That was a one-year program, but that was basically my introduction to it. So
First time?
Yes, first time. So I've been automotive enthusiast since I was 15. I met Jamie 6 years ago, and he worked on one of my vehicles. Best experience I've ever had. Super thorough. He's very meticulous. He has a very good standing with a lot of the automotive people in this area. They all know him. They know how good he is. So that was one of the main reasons that, I've been trying to work with Jamie for the last 5 years, and it just all came to fruition. Brian had the building, and everything just kind of aligned. So this has kind of been a dream of mine as well, just like Jamie's, and he's worked for 33 years to get to this point. But we really, we want it to be a family business. I have 3 young children. We want this to be part of the community in Stratford. And like Jamie said, we're not a tire change shop. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we're doing, large scale, jobs and high-end vehicles. So it's not going to be like oil changes and 1,000 cars coming in every day. It's really going to be, like I said, high-end, and it's going to be focused on, delivering the best product. That's really what we're looking to do.
I assume that looking that you have most of your cars stored inside.
Yes.
That's part of the tale that looking at your plans, that I can see.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Jay, do you want to make any comments? Are you okay with everything?
Mr. Chairman, no, I think all my comments are included in my very brief staff comments.
Okay.
I know I spoke with the applicant. I know they have received my staff comments and the standard conditions of approval for every motor vehicle license that gets approved here in Connecticut, or in Stratford, sorry.
Yes.
So no further comments.
Anybody else? I will open it up if there's anybody in the audience who would like to comment in favor.
Thank you.
Is there anybody here who would like to speak in favor of this? Is there anybody who would like to speak in opposition? Second time, anybody who would like to speak in opposition? Hearing nothing, I
Move that we close the public portion.
second something? Second, Debbie. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck. Okay, that's it for public hearing then. I'll just make it. Motion to close the public hearing and open our
So moved.
administrative hearing.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye, okay. Well, the first thing we have is vote on 2 items, correct? This project, the Dodge item, any discussion? I'm sorry, a motion to open it, sorry.
Motion to open.
Second,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, discussion. 64 Dodge Avenue.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, with
But second, yeah.
a motion to approve it, can you amend that, please?
I have to amend it. With the standard conditions as listed in Jay's memo.
And what we haven't been doing regularly, which we need to start doing, is we need to make sure we make some comment about the POCD, how well this essentially applies with what the aims of the POCD are. And looking at it, I think it really does fit well, because of the environmental issues that they've addressed, but also because of the higher end scale of the kind of mechanical work that they're doing. Those fit really well with our development, our idea of redevelopment in Stratford. Did you get those two? Okay. That's my only comment. Anybody else? I made a comment? Okay. We just need to vote, which includes my comment, if it's okay, and Jay's
I'll
comment.
accept your comments as part of my motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck.
Good night. That's it, Bear?
Okay, next item.
Move that we take Orinoco Lane off the agenda.
Second.
No, we first have to, on taking it off the table? Yes. Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
What are we doing?
Aye.
We're simply taking it off the
Orinoco
table
Lane
to
off the table
discuss.
to discuss.
Oh, okay. Aye.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just would like to relay information to the commission prior to any voting. I spoke to Attorney Kevin Kelly about 20 minutes before the meeting, asking if there were any updates. The reason you all didn't vote last month was in order to get the settlement agreement in place. Per my conversation with him 20 minutes before the start of this meeting, it has not been finalized, and he recommended that the commission do not vote until that agreement is finalized. That's all I have.
Patricia, would you like to comment?
I haven't seen it. I did have, I haven't seen it. I know that Attorney Bellis is in Florida because he sent me an email from Florida today. So I don't know. I don't believe it's been finalized.
Yes.
So I can't comment on its substance. I know they were working on it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay, I'm going to vote that I'm explaining my position. That's part of the discussion. I'm going to vote that we hold this until the next meeting because it's on them to come up with a settlement.
You can't make a second motion to a motion that's already on the table.
It's part of the discussion that I'd like to bring up.
I think you said that too.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I am finished. Speak. No, you have something to say. I did. I basically said that it is not our responsibility to come up with their modified agreement. We should be acting on their modified agreement in goodwill to the town and the parties that are involved.
Okay. That's why we have.
That's what I would recommend.
So,
That's how my vote would, excuse me?
My concern is that we don't have anything to attach that says what the nature of the agreement is. So we don't have the language.
We don't have anything to vote on.
That's not necessarily true. How many months has this been on the agenda?
It is a new proposal. They modified their plans.
Why can't we
That's
approve it
part
and
of
then let them work it out? And get it off the agenda? The petitioner's been waiting, the town, I don't know what they're doing. Listen, we were elected to represent the people. We were also elected to give petitioners some indication that we're with them. This is ridiculous. If we approve it, fine, let it go back to that office down there, or that office down there, and let them work it out. I don't think the petitioner should have to wait till he celebrates his birthday.
Petitioner is part of the discussion in the settlement
Well,
modification.
but the petitioner is being, we're asking, this has been approved. This development has been approved.
Well, Lenny, it has
Yes, no, let me finish, please, don't interrupt me. Decorum, please. What are you talking about? Decorum, be quiet. The petitioner was approved for that development for 2 bedrooms. He's basically asking to take the rest of the units and make them all 3 bedrooms. He's not changing the footprint, he's basically renaming a den.
It's a
What, can I finish?
project in that sense.
Okay, but this makes the value of the house when it sells go up, which increase our grand list because the taxes will be higher. So why are we holding this up? Because the town administration, Attorney Kelly and the petitioner can't, well, I don't think it's a petitioner, I'm sure he'd like to get together.
No, my assumption is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is neither party has come to an agreement yet.
I don't think it's, I mean, I think what the commission did last time was suggest that they were not going to have an issue with the 3rd bedroom if in fact the 3rd bedroom was really a conversion of the dining room. So I think that, certainly the commission was in support of that, but this has to do with the settlement agreement itself, which has conditions, supposed to have conditions in it that say you are just not going to change the footprint. You're just going to convert a dining room into a bedroom. You're not going to change anything else. And if they do change other things in that agreement, then we got to go back to the court. So we're trying to keep this in a very, very narrow channel so that the changes are not so significant that we have to go back to the court, but that they are memorialized in an agreement that's signed by both parties. So that's where we are right now.
But this is going nowhere. We've been hearing this for 2 months.
Have you read the judge's?
Yeah, and I also read from the court a statement that the Town of Stratford Land Use Board shall retain their jurisdiction and authority to evaluate and approve said text amendments and development applications. Doesn't say we have to wait for the town to make a deal. And that's out of Superior Court. It's a public record.
But it leaves open the ability for both parties to come to new agreements.
So what are we trying to say? We're being used for leverage for the town? Is that what we're saying? I didn't get elected to be used for leverage.
Well, you're representing the town as much as the...
Not in a leverage situation, I'm not.
Anybody else have any comments?
I just feel that we should get this off our agenda. I mean, it's been going on, like you said, for 2 months. We're not getting anywhere. I mean, why can't we vote on it? Take a vote on it, get rid of it. I mean, let the lawyers worry about what they have to do. It's not
Once we
up
get
to
rid of
us.
it, the lawyers don't have anything to discuss, essentially.
Why not?
We're opening up, am I correct?
That's correct.
If we were to vote on this right now, the negotiations between the two parties would essentially stop. Because at that point, then, they would have to go back into court and renegotiate this deal. Where right now, they're trying to renegotiate a deal that's acceptable to both parties without having to go back to the judge. So if we were to say yes to this right now, then we are essentially forcing them into going back to the court. That's my understanding. I might be
Right,
wrong.
I mean, I wish Attorney Bellis was here to say where they are with regard to the agreement, because he's not here. They're the ones who are looking for a change.
So what are we saying? I
just-
think we should approve the 3 bedrooms. I'm sorry, I don't want to get in the middle of town hall, and this is not why we're here. If we approve it, there's other outs too the town has. They got to get a building permit. They have to, it doesn't end here.
My opinion is without the agreement, you don't have the parameters that that narrow channel that they're limited to, which is you convert a dining room into a bedroom. That's how you get your 3 bedrooms. Okay? I believe the consensus last time was that the commission didn't have an issue with that, but until that agreement is in place, you basically give them 3 bedrooms. They could increase the footprint, do whatever they want in order to get those 3 bedrooms. So that's what we're looking for in terms of the agreement between the town and the, because the commission maintains its jurisdiction as to the zoning, but the global settlement agreement is between the town and the Curcio parties.
Well, they submitted at the last meeting a blueprint of the building. The size remained the same. They only showed the difference being the den, a bedroom. They did not change the footprint of the building.
And that's what the agreement is supposed to reflect. So I don't know why it hasn't been signed yet.
Well, I don't think we should have, as a zoning commission, we're almost being held hostage. We can't vote on it this month because they haven't done the agreement. They haven't signed the contract. Let's just approve it and let them work it out. They have other avenues.
Lenny, we can also just leave it. It's not on, we have no work to do other than to do a final vote. They're the ones that still have a negotiated settlement to make between the parties.
You gonna vote for it?
They're the ones that have the work to do. We have done our work.
Yeah, but it's still on our agenda. All I want to do is approve the 3 bedrooms. What they work out is between them. It has nothing to do with us.
It has nothing to do with us, he's right. What they work out. What does that have to do with the zoning commission?
No,
Well,
because
if
there
you
are,
understand what Pat was saying is, we are essentially looking at the ability for them to come back and redesign a project. We're not just saying, we're saying to them that what you presented, but they have not come to an agreement on what that project is. That if we, am I correct?
We're going to make it into a bedroom. But there's no agreement that reflects that. That's what the terms of the agreement are, and that needs to be signed prior to, because otherwise the global settlement agreement starts to fall apart, and then we got to go back to court, which is, you know.
That's their problem.
Let me try to understand this.
Pat, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You got a concern if we vote on it right now on just the way it is, as 3, they said 3 bedrooms, and we'll go around and keep it in 2, without have a paperwork that say, okay, that really say it's going to be 3 bedrooms. That's a concern, right? So I believe we need that paper, though. We need to see they are modifying the plan, say, okay, this is not gonna be 2-bedroom, it's gonna be 3-bedroom, and we need to read it somewhere.
They did, they already applied for it.
But it's, we haven't seen it yet.
That's what I'm,
Isn't there a new?
We
plan
heard that,
was
I heard that.
They may not come to an agreement.
that'll work, though.
They may not,
They may not.
see, they may not. That means if,
Well, that's what Jay was saying, is maybe not. Because if we vote on this without the settlement, then we don't know what they're gonna come back with.
I understand that.
And we've already closed our look at their project.
I understand. And you guys are, to me, you're right. We can't vote on it if we don't see the picture.
Debbie?
We have to have a signed agreement before we can go forward, and that's the bottom line. You know, that's what all the parties have to do. Because there have been a lot of changes, and if
I
we
agree.
just open this up to a can of worms, God knows what's gonna happen.
You ready for a vote?
No. We're only, once again, we're only approving an extra bedroom. We're not changing, if they want to change the size of the, then they got to come back.
But here's where we get into what the judge ruled on. The judge ruled on 2 bedrooms, and that was the deal that they all agreed upon in the.
So we
judge's
rule on
chamber.
3, they can go back to the judge if they had. They can do whatever they have to do as long as we get it off our agenda.
But
Then they can do whatever they have to do.
theoretically, what they've come up with, if they can get this thing signed and brought before.
They haven't been able to get it signed all this time. What makes you really think, I think somebody's really pushing to get this signed? Do I look like I'm stupid? Really? It's taken the administration and them all this time to get it signed because they want to? Come on.
Anybody else?
if they want to go ahead with the project, then they have to have it signed, though. That's all we ask.
We can vote as a zoning commission too, and then let them work it out. They may not get this signed till, if one party does not want to get it signed and is dragging their feet, which I'm not saying it is, but it could be the case, this could go on for months.
But it's not ripe for us to vote on. Why? Because it's going to have to, if we were to take this vote right now, then they would have to go back to the judge, correct?
Yes, and you would not have any terms of, I mean, what's on the agenda is, 170 Orinoco Lane, settlement modification number 2. And we don't have settlement modification number 2 because it hasn't been signed yet. So, you're sort of, working in the dark.
Are they working?
So what is taking them so long to get it signed? We don't know why.
I don't
It
want
be-
to
it's
cast
been-
aspersions on any
It's been a while,
lawyers.
so they
I'll
have to
just
have it.
add, this application, when it first came back, this is the second version of the modification. First came back, you all denied it because the agreement wasn't in place. So please go put the agreement in place and come back. They came back and didn't put the agreement in place. So the applicant is continually pushing, applying for an approval after you had told them twice, get the agreement in place and come back. They applied again, no agreement in place. So the applicant, I know, and I understand the frustration of this being on the agenda. No one understands that more than me because I'm the one dealing with it on the day-to-day basis. But the applicant has pushed the application on us. And if they have chosen not to get the agreement in place prior to applying, I'm not placing any blame on anyone. I know there's always 2 sides to this. But I want to make sure you understand, we told them several times before the first application and before they applied for this one, we need the agreement in place. That's why you were denied the first time. They chose to ignore that. That's all I'll say.
I believe that the blame is 50% on the town and 50% on the developer. I don't think the developer's all at fault.
I can't speak to that. You're probably right.
No, I'll just do,
Probably right.
50-50 is fair.
It always takes 2 to tango, doesn't it?
Correct.
But
But
here
my
we are.
concern is how long is this going to go on? I mean, we were here 30 days ago, and this was supposed to be, it was supposed to just be signed.
That's true.
And it took 30 days to sign? I mean, you want me to forge his name?
But it was supposed to be signed with an agreement, a modification agreement, and that's what's missing.
Then
Well,
get
what-
that,
The lawyers say it.
And-
Both of them say we haven't finished our negotiations. That's
I
the,
talked to Attorney Kelly this evening. They have not come to an agreement.
so what it does for me is it makes me suspicious that it's not just 3 bedrooms that they're negotiating. There's something else that these 2 lawyers are trying to come up with. And as a zoning commission, we shouldn't be voting on a project that we don't even know what the discussions are.
But why do you necessarily think that it's the petitioner
I don't
that
say that.
wants more than 3 bedrooms?
Listen, believe me, Lenny, you know me well enough. I can place equal blame. And I understand your anger. I feel the same way.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, a developer who wants to make money, doesn't the town want to pass this so they can get the tax dollars? But what if they drag this out really for 3 or 4 months? Suppose there's another underlying issue.
Well, we will have voted that underlying issue into the deal, into the package, if we just simply say yes tonight.
I really don't have anything else to say.
Okay,
'Cause
anybody else?
It won't be positive.
Linda? Ewald? Debbie? Are we ready to vote then?
I just clarified the motion on the table is to pass it. So if they vote yes, just so they're not confused.
Okay, Lenny's vote is to pass it as is. So we're going to do a roll call vote. I'll start with me. Excuse me?
This is not to approve or deny, this is to approve. Yes is to approve, and no is to keep it on the table. Right. I just wanted to clarify.
So no is to keep it on the table. A yes is to approve it, correct? So it's a no, to keep it on the table.
A yes is to approve it now without the settlement, a no is to keep it on the table and wait for the agreement.
I'm going to do a roll call. I'll start with myself. A no. Ewald?
no.
Linda? Yes. Debbie?
No.
Len?
You already know, yes.
Okay, 3-2. Item stays on the table, and hopefully, I agree, Lenny, with you. Hopefully, they will get their act together.
Let me just say, if we come back and it's the same thing next month, I say let's just approve it and put the pressure on them, and the petitioner.
Give him a chance.
Well,
Last chance.
listen,
I agree.
there's no, we can go back and modify what we just voted on and say simply, we would like to forewarn both parties to get their act together. Yeah, and say we are not going to be here. You might not like our vote next time if you don't get your act together. Can we do that? Oh, Jay will be our tough guy, okay. Listen, it only takes one vote change, so you better tell them they better get their act together. All right, thank you, guys. I appreciate you all. Okay, approval of minutes. Debbie,
Motion to approve the minutes of April 24th?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. Any site plan reviews, any CAM, any accessory, any sediment control, any zoning enforcement? We do have other items. St. Nicholas Orthodox Church versus Stratford Zoning. Patricia, you wanted to,
Yeah, I'll give you an update.
okay, guys, just in case, listen up for a sec. This is the old Johnny's Restaurant with the marijuana store that was involved with the Russian Orthodox Church down the street. From about 4 months ago, probably? Yes. Well, it was before Ewald was on, I believe, so. Yeah. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think he wasn't here. It was right before you came on. Okay,
All right, so the commission gave an approval for the dispensary at that location, and the church, the St. Nicholas Russian Orthodox Church, appealed. That appeal went to court, and the parties have now come to an agreement to resolve their differences. We were in court about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and Judge Radcliffe wants complete transparency on the agreement. And he wanted the commission to absolutely know what the terms of the agreement are. So Attorney Megan Miles is here representing the marijuana dispensary, and Attorney Joel Green is here representing the church. And so I asked them to both come to explain the agreement to you. Judge Radcliffe is of the opinion that the zoning commission has to agree that it's fine with them. As I said, it's an approval, and this would get rid of the litigation and finish the matter, and then they could proceed with their development.
So what are you asking us to do?
I'm asking you to just listen to what they have to say about the agreement, and if you have any issues with the terms of the agreement, you let me know. Otherwise, I want to be able to report back to Judge Radcliffe that the commission is fine with the party settling.
may I ask a question, an informative question? We voted a whole series of items when we gave approval to it. Does what they're going to present to us change any of that?
No.
So everything that we had voted on
Your approval
remains?
would just remain in place.
It might be additional items that you guys have agreed upon amongst yourselves that we would then add to it, add to the
Right,
package.
and I think the majority of what they've agreed to is monetary, so that, you know, it's, and normally when I come to you with these settlements, it's because there was a denial, or there was some other things that were going on. So this one is pretty straightforward. It's an approval. Your approval would remain in place, and
But we don't need to do anything, we don't need to revote the package that we originally came up with.
No.
We just simply need to do a simple vote to saying we accept what they're presenting to us.
right. And I just need to be able to go back to the court and say the commission was satisfied or not satisfied with the agreement, and then they can basically withdraw the case and go forward with their agreements.
Does that make
Right.
sense?
Move to waive the rules for administrative session. Somebody second it?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Proceed. Can you give our secretary,
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, staff, and council. My name is Joel Green. I practice law in Bridgeport with the law offices of Green and Gross. It's my pleasure to appear before you this evening on behalf of St. Nicholas Russian Orthodox Greek Catholic Church. With me is Megan Miles.
Thank you, Jill. Good evening. My name is Megan Miles. I'm a land use attorney at Carmody, Torrance, Sandak, and Hennessy. My office is at 195 Church Street in New Haven. My firm represents, I believe the entity's name is C3EJV1 LLC. My client received the approval to operate the cannabis retailer at 130 Honey Spot Road.
So you all, I am sure, are familiar with the church, and it's a small church at 1 Honey Spot Road. And it's a relatively small congregation, but the sale and use of cannabis is antithetical to the teachings and principles of the church. And the church took this appeal in response to this application for retail cannabis use, basically up the street. And I know you're familiar with Johnny's and where it is in relation to the church. And we took this appeal, and there have been some technical legal issues that the parties have addressed, and the church was not open to any sort of settlement of this matter. But after several months and, frankly, many conversations amongst council, the church reconsidered its position, It is a financial settlement that is being proposed that will be used by the church to improve the church property, and as we indicated in our settlement agreement, they would improve the church property with fencing and a robust landscape buffer, related site work, and also the money would be used to further the charitable purposes of the church. And on balance, and this was a really, really long discussion by the church council over many months, and for a long time the council refused to even consider a settlement just on matters of principle. But on balance, and considering the mounting costs of litigation, understanding that it was the will of this commission that the application be approved and that the use go forward, and sort of understanding that landscape, we did engage in negotiations that resulted in a settlement that will call for a lump sum payment to the church of $80,000, followed by 6 $10,000 donations over 10 years to be used, again, for those purposes. Consistent with sort of the church's position on this, there is a provision in the settlement agreement that the facility and its operators will not use the church in any marketing materials, in any public outreach, or reference the church, frankly, in any way. With that, the church is here appearing before the commission as ordered by the court to request basically that the commission agree to the settlement. And as counsel will advise you, as Attorney Sullivan will advise you, you don't have to approve the settlement, but that will result in what I can assure you is protracted litigation, and this is likely a matter that would go on for years and cost all of the parties significant fees and expense. And this case, I'll also just editorialize just a bit. This case presents some novel legal issues, as you can imagine, with sort of the recent legalization of cannabis for retail sale. There's a lot of sort of unanswered questions by the highest court of the state, and there can be no doubt that this is a long road of litigation if we're not able to settle the case. And I know the commission gave this considerable thought in approving the use, and so we're asking the commission to sort of help us to bring peace to this situation and approve the settlement. Yes?
All of this is essentially between the church and the business.
Completely.
None of this falls back under the town.
So the impact of this settlement is such that your decision would be completely unaffected and would be implemented as you approved it.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Anybody second that? Excuse me?
We didn't have,
Well, we actually need more than just approve. We need a motion.
Yeah, maybe we could let Attorney Miles speak, and I also just want to confirm that I know that the version that you sent over is unsigned, but it's called the execution version, so my assumption is that this is a final version, and you're just waiting for the commission's...
This is the culmination of 6 weeks of edits going back and forth, and I can assure you that if this is approved, it will be executed
This is final,
in this
yeah.
form.
Okay.
Yes.
Withdraw my motion.
What kind of a motion do we need to come up with? A motion to... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to briefly add, again, this is Megan Miles for the record. I just want to remind the commission that after this, there's a public hearing before the court at the judge in order for us to bless withdrawing this action. And that hearing is June 6th at 2 p.m. at Bridgeport Superior Court. So this is not the last step in the process. There's still ample time for public comment as part of this. So.
And just to be clear, we're not necessarily... I can understand the commission's position on sort of the terms of the settlement, but and counsel will correct me, I think this is more of a matter of the commission not objecting to the parties settling this matter on these terms and conditions. Is that Is that fair?
Yeah, that's correct.
So a simple motion saying we do not object to the settlement agreement between
Right.
the two parties as outlined in, I assume you have some paperwork to give us. Okay, go ahead.
That's it, thank you.
That's it. So, does someone want to present a motion?
I motion that we do not reject your agreement.
Second.
Is that enough? Will that cover us?
Yeah, I'm basically going to report back to the court that the commission heard from both parties in a public meeting and agreed that they had no objection to the settling of this and withdrawal of this case. Because what will happen next is we'll have a hearing with Judge Radcliffe. He will say, can I have a report from what happened before the zoning commission? And I'll say, yes, we had a full-throated discussion about the terms of the agreement and that the commission had no objection to the parties settling the matter, and then they would be withdrawing the litigation. So you're a party to the litigation, but this has nothing, and so your approval will go back into place.
And we don't need to add any kind of disclaimer saying this does not affect the positive vote that we had done on the previous project.
No.
We don't need to do any of that. So we're going to take your no objection.
Maybe I overcomplicated it. I think it's simply that the commission consents to the parties proceeding to a hearing before the court on the settlement.
Right.
So we've got a motion of no objection and a second. I think now all we need is a vote.
Yes, a vote. We ready? Unless someone has
Yeah.
any more discussion?
Can I ask a question first?
Sure.
If we object to it, what's going to happen then?
Well, so I
I'm serious,
will
I'm serious,
agree,
come on.
I don't often agree with Attorney Green, but I will agree with Attorney Green that this is a complicated case. So for instance, there's already been a motion to dismiss with regard to taxpayer standing, which is the typical argument that you hear in liquor cases. Now, that case law has never been applied in a marijuana situation, but now there's a decision from Judge Radcliffe that says you have taxpayer standing to appeal a marijuana dispensary, which means that rather than needing to be within 100 feet, so it is my opinion that if we went to litigation on this, that issue would be raised again. So it's not your garden variety, straightforward administrative appeal. And in my opinion, since the commission already gave an approval, we don't want to incur the cost of litigation or anything further than to allow the applicant to move forward with the project.
Yes. Well, anybody want to discuss?
Did that answer your question? I mean,
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
So are we ready to vote? Let's do a vote. Myself, yes. Ewald?
Yes.
Yes. Linda? Debbie?
Yes.
Len, 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And that does us, unless Jay has something else that we've missed. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? 5-0. Hey. Thank everybody.